What's up, cool people? I'm Matt Conroy, and so I kind of got two topics I'm going to talk about in this video, both of which, I don't know, you wouldn't think they'd be closely related, and really they're not for the most part, but really just kind of how heated the discussions have been. Yeah, that's really about the only similarity they share, and, you know, the fact that they're fairly recent events. First off, let me talk about the Super Bowl halftime show, because everybody seems to have an opinion on it. And most of the opinions are either, oh my gosh, it was amazing, or, ew, no, this is terrible, how dare you show this to our children. And really the truth of the matter, as with many issues, it seems, is probably somewhere in the middle. So, first off, let me address the wardrobes. Yes, they showed a fair bit of skin. No, it is not the most revealing we've ever had at a Super Bowl halftime show. Just think back a few years to Justin Timberlake, and I think it was Janet Jackson or whoever, when there was the wardrobe malfunction, like the event that turned that phrase into common vernacular in the United States. Because, yeah, I think we can all agree that was pushing it a little bit more. The Super Bowl was in Miami this year, which, of course, being in Florida and so close to, you know, all these Latin countries and having such a significant Latin influence there, Latin American, I should say, having that much of an influence of that culture in the area, it made sense to pick some Latin American stars to put in the halftime show. And in terms of some of the dancing and stuff, I mean, I'm not going to say that, oh, it's completely fine, there's no issue at all with it, your kids are fine watching it. No, I'm not going to say that. The fact of the matter is that it's kind of part of the culture, having some of those sort of sexualized dances like that. I mean, you even take some of the ballroom dances, those were when they first kind of started entering mainstream American culture, those were deemed very risque dances. And it's been part of their culture much longer than U.S. culture. And so having that kind of just broader backdrop of the overall show, I mean, again, yeah, there was probably more skin shown than necessary, but the culture, you gotta expect that kind of stuff. And honestly, if you can't have a good conversation with your kids about that kind of stuff, like, if you don't know how to handle your kids seeing something like that and being able to talk with them about it in a way that is proper and gives them, you know, your thoughts, your perspective, your beliefs on the matter, then maybe you need to look a little more at yourself than at the halftime show. It's a thing. Deal with it. And if you don't know how to deal with it, then figure out how to deal with it. Because guess what? Your kids are going to encounter this kind of stuff eventually. Unless you keep them under a rock all their lives. Which you shouldn't. Also, real quick on the other side of things, I don't agree either with the idea that it was this amazing female empowerment moment, how they were, you know, displaying their amazing talents in a way that empowered young females to, you know, be confident about their bodies and that kind of stuff. Try telling try telling a young girl who's not thin and, doesn't have the same general type of appearance as Shakira and or J-Lo, and try telling them that it's empowering for them as well, and I don't think you'll get them agreeing with you. Just saying. It was not a big female empowerment moment. I don't think that was the intent of the show. I don't think the intent was to, super sexually charge the event and, turn our kids into heathens either. It was a show focused primarily on Latin American culture, given the location of the event. I really think that's all it boiled down to. So, the other event, probably the one I'm going to have a far more controversial opinion on, was the impeachment trial of President Donald Trump. First off, let me get my most controversial view on this matter out of the way right off the bat. Personally, I think the whole thing was a sham. Sorry, but when you hardly have any witnesses, you refuse to let your opposition use anything beyond what's essentially public knowledge, how are you going to build up a reasonable case of, obstructing Congress or abusing power? Like, honestly, there are people who have built up these cases online that sound reasonable to most people, but technically speaking, you could take all that and label it as hearsay because it's just like social media stuff or news articles or whatever, since you don't have any solid witnesses lined up or, other people with more detailed knowledge and firsthand experience on the matter saying a single thing. You really can't build up a good case there. And the little bit that I saw of even just the strategy on the Republican side was bogus as well. They were trying to fuss over the details of essentially, what the trial was supposed to be about and how the proceedings were supposed to work, as well as, what's considered an impeachable offense, and fussing over details of that. They played it essentially like the lawyer of a known murderer would, trying to fuss over the minute details of the law as much as they can and attempting to find loopholes for all this stuff. That being said, whether or not you believe that the impeachment trial was a sham, the result, I think, it just proves beyond a shadow of a doubt to me that justice was not served. Period. And the reason I say that is because if you look at the results of the voting and how that went down, literally one person out of the entire Senate dared even on one of the two issues try and, cross over to the other side, so to speak. Mitt Romney was literally the only person on either issue who did not vote along party lines. And I'm sorry, but there is no way, absolutely no freaking way in heck, that the people voting on this trial are attempting to seek justice in the matter when everybody votes along party lines. There's no way. And this is on both sides. And this is what infuriates me the most about this. I've been talking about this for years. The political division in our country is insane. We need to, kick the Democratic and Republican parties out of Congress for like a couple of years. Like, put them in timeout like a freaking 5-year-old kid who is fussing over not getting their way. Because that's essentially how the Democrat and Republican parties are acting right now. They're acting like stubborn little children who just want their way and are going to make as big a fuss as possible if anything else happens. For real. Like, come on. That should not be the way the voting goes down. At all. There's no way that everybody on the Democratic side honestly believed that he was guilty on both counts, and that nearly everybody on the Republican side thought that he was innocent on both counts. There's no way. Period. Unless they've all been brainwashed. No. Forget it. That's not how human nature works. It's not how human thought works. Not everybody is going to think the same freaking thing. So, whether or not you believe the proceedings were a sham, the result is freaking ridiculous. And I think it just proves to me, once again, how badly we need to change our political system. No, I do not think Trump is as bad as the Democratic Party makes him out to be. I also do not think that he is the absolute beacon of good Christian morals, or whatever the heck you want to call it, that the uber Republicans want you to believe that he is. He's not. He's not a good example of personal attitude and character. He's not the spawn of Satan either. Okay? Maybe if we would stop being so divided, we would have, reasonable discussions on these issues. But no. Clearly we can't rely on the two main parties to do anything reasonable. We can't rely on them to have an unbiased and balanced perspective, is what this whole impeachment debacle has shown me. So what we need to do coming up this next year is really, really think through which people are going to get us back on track. I don't even care as much about the other individual issues at this point. I've talked about those previously. I don't need to bring them up again here. The main idea is that we, the people, need to pull it together. We, the people, need to think through who's representing us and how they're representing us. Or, these days, it seems like even if they're representing us. Because if they're not representing us properly, they shouldn't be in our government. Period. So let's try and get some people voted in who actually care about the common person, who actually are willing to reach across the aisle, as they say, and do stuff that, might not be part of the overall groupthink of their political alliance. And let's get a government that actually works the way it's supposed to. Anyway. Okay. I'm done now. That's all I'm going to say on either of those matters. Let's stop being so divided and try and work together, maybe. Anyway, yeah, you know what to do in terms of following me and my social media and the channel and all that kind of stuff. And if you don't, just look down in the description for more information. Leave your comments below with your thoughts on either issue that I've discussed here. Am I really just trying too hard to be a man of compromise, do you think? Am I completely wrong and, the situation is actually as crazy as other people make it out to be? Whatever you have. Let me know down below. But, keep it civil. I'm not trying to encourage name-calling or anything like that. I want discussion on this. I want people who will actually act like human beings who know how to have conversations that don't just completely alienate the opposition. So anyway, that's it. Hope you're all doing well. Hopefully I'll see you for the next video, which should be a bit less controversial. But until next time, stay cool, people.